Level 1. Dairy handler. You don't enter the ice cream factory through the place customers imagine. You enter through the receiving area where the air is cold, the floor is clean but busy, and the first smell is not chocolate or vanilla in a cone, but chilled milk, cardboard plastic wrap, sugar, and frozen ingredients waiting on pallets. Before ice cream becomes a smooth scoop, a colourful tub, or a cold reward after a long day, it begins here as materials that must be protected. Stainless milk tanks stand near the dock. Boxes of vanilla, cocoa, fruit bases, cookie pieces, caramel, lids, tubs, wooden sticks, cartons, and printed packaging are stacked under bright white lights. Your first job is simple. Move, scan, check, separate, and stage. But simple does not mean easy. One ingredient sent to the wrong area can slow production. One damaged carton of lids can stop the filling line later. One material kept at the wrong temperature can become a problem before the customer ever sees the product. A forklift beeps behind you, cold air rolls out from a storage door. Your scanner chirps as you match lot numbers that feel like meaningless codes at first, until you realize every code is part of the factory's memory. Outside, someone will open a freezer, pull out a tub, and think only about sweetness. They will not picture your gloves touching chilled cartons, your shoulders tightening as another pallet arrives, or the quiet pressure of keeping dairy ingredients safe before the line begins. At the bottom, ice cream does not feel like comfort yet. It feels like weight, temperature, hygiene, and timing. You are not making dessert. You are guarding the first cold gate of it. And as another pallet moves toward the mixing room, you ask yourself, how many people stand behind one scoop of ice cream? Level 2, mixing room. Worker now. You move from the receiving area into the mixing room where ice cream begins to change from separate ingredients into one controlled base. The room is brighter, cleaner, and quieter than the dock. But the pressure feels sharper because everything here depends on balance. Stainless steel tanks rise beside you. Pipes run overhead. Bags of sugar, dairy ingredients, stabilizers, and flavor bases are staged near the line. The air smells like cold milk and sweetness, but underneath it is the clean metallic smell of equipment that has to stay spotless. Your role is to help the mixture begin correctly. Confirm materials, follow batch instructions, watch transfers, check labels, and make sure the right ingredients enter the right tank at the right time. At level 1, a mistake could still be caught on a pallet. Here, a mistake disappears into the mix. Too much sugar can change the body of the ice cream. Too little fat can make the texture feel thin. A wrong flavor base can ruin the batch before freezing ever begins. You do not invent the recipe. You protect it. A technician points to the control screen and you watch numbers rise while the tank hums softly behind you. The mixture still does not look like ice cream. It looks like pale liquid moving through a system of valves, hoses, and careful timing. But this is where the future scoop starts to form. Outside, the customer only remembers the flavor printed on the tub. Inside, you learn that flavor needs structure before it needs beauty. Every smooth spoonful begins as a liquid that can fail quietly if nobody pays attention. And once the base is mixed, the next level sends it through the step that proves ice cream is not just dessert. It is dairy science under pressure. Level 3, pasteurization operator. At level 3, the ice cream base moves into a part of the factory that feels less like cooking and more like controlled discipline. You stand beside polished steel pipes, tanks, valves, and temperature screens, watching the pale mixture travel through a system where heat and cooling both matter. The room has a strange contrast. Warm steam near one section, cold metal near another, and the steady sound of pumps moving the product forward. Your role is to monitor the process, follow the readings, confirm timing, and make sure the base stays inside the expected range before it can continue. At level 2, you protected the recipe. Here you protect the safety and stability of everything that recipe becomes. Ice cream looks innocent from the outside, but inside the factory it is still a dairy product that demands strict control. A wrong temperature, a missed reading, or a process delay can force the batch to be held. Nobody wants that. The mixing room waits, the freezing area waits, the schedule waits. But this level does not exist to make the line comfortable. It exists to make sure the product can be trusted. You look at the screen as numbers move slowly, and for the first time you understand that sweetness is not enough. The product has to survive science before it can become pleasure. Outside, a customer will take a spoonful and think about flavor, not the hidden process that made it safe and smooth. Inside, you watch the base pass through steel and temperature control. Knowing one mistake here can echo through the entire factory. And once the base is cleared, the next level brings the transformation everyone recognizes, liquid becoming ice cream. Level 4, freezing technician. At level 4, the base finally begins to become ice cream. You stand near the freezing equipment where the smooth liquid enters one side of the system and comes out thicker, colder, and alive with texture. The air changes around you. It feels sharper, cleaner, and colder than the mixing room, with the low vibration of compressors moving through the floor. Stainless pipes carry the base forward. Panels glow with readings, and the first slow ribbon of soft ice cream appears like something simple, even though you now know it is not simple at all. Your role is to watch the transformation. Temperature, flow, texture, timing, and the way the product leaves the machine. At level 3, the base had to survive heat and safety control. Here it has to become smooth. If the process drifts, the texture can turn icy, heavy, too soft, too stiff, or uneven. A customer may not know why the spoon feels wrong, but they will know the moment pleasure becomes disappointment. You lean closer to watch the product form, careful not to interfere, trained now to notice small changes before they become big ones. A technician points out a slight texture issue, and suddenly the beautiful ribbon of ice cream looks fragile instead of perfect. You realize that freezing is not just making something cold, it is building the body of the dessert. The creaminess, the softness, the way it scoops, the way it melts, all of it begins here. Outside, ice cream feels playful and effortless. Inside, it depends on cold precision and machines that cannot lose rhythm. And once the base becomes real ice cream, the next level asks whether flavor, swirl, and topping can make it unforgettable. Level 5, flavor worker. At level 5, ice cream stops being only smooth and cold. It becomes the thing people remember. You move into the flavor and inclusion area, where vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, caramel, fruit bases, cookie pieces, nuts, and swirl ribbons wait in separate containers, each one ready to change the plain frozen base into something customers will choose from a freezer shelf. The room smells sweeter than any place you have worked so far, but the pressure underneath the sweetness is real. Your role is to watch how flavor, swirl, and toppings enter the product, how evenly they flow, how much is added, whether pieces distribute correctly, and whether the ice cream still keeps its texture while becoming more exciting. At level 4, the machine gave the base its body. Here you learn that body is not enough. A tub with too few cookie pieces feels disappointing. Too much caramel can make the product unstable or expensive. A chocolate ribbon that gathers in one corner makes the first scoop amazing and the rest empty. You watch the swirl fold into the ice cream, dark lines moving through pale cream like something beautiful and fragile. A technician pulls a sample, cuts through it, and studies the pattern. Suddenly you realize flavor is visual before it is emotional. The customer opens the lid and expects proof. Pieces, ribbons, color, abundance. Outside, ice cream feels like comfort. Inside, comfort is measured by flow, distribution, cost, texture, and timing. When one batch shows uneven topping placement, the line slows and the room becomes quiet in a way that does not match the sweet smell around you. You begin to understand that delight can fail just like safety can fail. And once flavor makes the product worth wanting, the next level turns it into something the customer can actually hold. Level 6, filling technician. At level 6, the ice cream becomes something a customer can recognize in their hand. You stand beside the filling line, where tubs, cups, cones, and molds move through the cold room in steady rows, waiting for soft ice cream to be placed inside them before it hardens into the final product. The air is colder here, mixed with the smell of sweet dairy, cardboard plastic lids, and the faint mechanical scent of machines running without pause. Your role is to watch the fill, the amount, the shape, the timing, the lid, the container position, and the way the product lands without spilling, smearing, or trapping air where it should not be. At level 5, flavor made the ice cream desirable. Here you learn that desire still has to fit inside a package. Too little ice cream, and the customer feels cheated. Too much, and the line wastes product. A lid that sits wrong can create problems later in freezing and storage. A tub that shifts out of position can smear, jam, or stop the line. You watch vanilla and chocolate swirl drop into containers in clean spirals, and for one moment it almost looks beautiful enough to forget the pressure. Then one cup tilts slightly, a lid catches, and several containers are pulled aside before the issue spreads. The machine does not care that the product is sweet. It only cares whether the rhythm holds. Outside, someone will peel back a lid and expect the surface to look smooth, full, and inviting. Inside, you know that surface depends on cold timing, steady hands, and workers catching small failures before they become visible. And once the ice cream is filled and sealed, the next level asks whether it is truly good enough to leave the factory. Level 7, Quality Inspector. At level 7, you step away from the filling line and into the quality area, where the ice cream is no longer just beautiful product moving through a machine. It becomes something that must prove itself. Samples are pulled from the line and placed under bright lights. Some are weighed, some are opened, some are checked for texture, temperature, lid condition, topping distribution, surface appearance, code accuracy, and whether the product matches the standard it is supposed to represent. Your role is to question what everyone else wants to send forward. At level 6, the ice cream entered tubs, cups, and molds. Here you learn that a full container is not automatically a good one. The surface may look smooth but hide poor texture. The topping may be uneven, the weight may drift. The lid may seem closed but not seated properly. A batch may taste fine but show signs that it should be reviewed before storage. Production wants approval. Filling wants to keep moving. Cold storage wants pallets. But your job is not to make the factory comfortable. Your job is to protect the customer from receiving disappointment disguised as dessert. You lift one sample tub and feel the cold press through your gloves, then open it carefully under the light. The swirl looks slightly off, not enough for a casual eye, but enough to make you pause. That pause is your responsibility. No one likes a hold. No one likes a delay. But quality is the last quiet voice before the product disappears into the freezer system. By the end of the check, you understand that sweetness does not protect itself. Someone has to question it. And once the ice cream passes inspection, the next level asks whether it can survive the cold warehouse before it ever reaches the road. Level 8, Cold Storage Supervisor. At level 8, the ice cream has passed the line, passed the lid, and passed inspection, but it is still not safe from failure. You now step into cold storage, where the factory feels less like a place of sweetness and more like a frozen vault. Tall racks hold pallets of tubs, cups, bars, and cartons stacked under blue-white lights. Forklifts move slowly through narrow aisles. Every door that opens releases a cloud of cold vapor. Every pallet has a zone, a time, a code, and a reason for being exactly where it is. Your role is to supervise the frozen inventory before it leaves the plant. Temperature, storage discipline, pallet movement, loading order, worker safety, and the constant flow between production and distribution. At level 7, quality decided whether the product was good enough. Here you learn that good enough can still be ruined by carelessness. A door left open too long can create risk. A pallet placed in the wrong zone can delay shipments. A box crushed at the bottom of a stack can become a retailer complaint later. A temperature alert can turn an ordinary shift into an investigation. You watch workers in insulated gear move quickly but carefully, because cold makes everything harder. Hands stiffen, labels frost over, equipment reacts slowly, and mistakes feel more expensive. Outside, ice cream feels soft, playful, almost childish. Here it survives inside a system that feels strict and unforgiving. You stand near the freezer door as another pallet arrives from production, and you understand that cold storage is not just waiting space. It is protection. It is the pause between factory and road. And once you learn to guard ice cream inside the warehouse, the next level sends it into the world, where every mile threatens to melt what the factory worked so hard to create. Level 9, Ice Cream Distribution Manager. At Level 9, the ice cream leaves the safety of the plant and enters the most dangerous part of its journey. Distance. You sit in a logistics office beside warehouse windows, watching refrigerated trucks back into cold docks while screens show routes, delivery windows, freezer temperatures, store orders, and regional demand. The product has already survived mixing, pasteurization, freezing, flavor, filling, inspection, and cold storage. But none of that matters if it melts on the road, arrives late, or reaches a store with no freezer space ready. Your role is to protect the cold chain after the factory releases the product. At Level 8, you guarded ice cream inside the warehouse. Here you guard it through trucks, docks, regional warehouses, supermarkets, convenience stores, and the final freezer aisle. A truck delay is not just a timing problem. It is a temperature risk. A route mistake can send the right product to the wrong store. A summer demand spike can empty shelves faster than forecasts expected. A freezer issue at a retailer can damage the product after every factory level did its job correctly. You begin to understand that ice cream is sold by emotion but delivered by discipline. People buy it because they want comfort, reward, sweetness, or relief from heat. But that feeling depends on refrigeration units, loading discipline, driver timing, warehouse coordination, and temperature screens that never get applause. You look at one pallet of ice cream cases waiting near the dock, and remember every person behind it. The dairy handler, the mixer, the operator, the freezer technician, the flavor worker, the filler, the inspector, the cold storage crew. All that hidden work is now compressed into a frozen shipment that must not fail. As another truck door closes and the refrigeration unit hums to life, you realize the final level will decide what kind of feeling this cold product is supposed to sell. Level 10, Ice Cream Brand Owner. At Level 10, the factory noise is gone, but the cold pressure has followed you into a warmer room. You sit at a polished table with sample tubs, ice cream bars, flavor reports, retail data, packaging mock-ups, and seasonal campaign ideas spread in front of you. At Level 9, you learned that every product has to survive the road without melting. Here you decide what that frozen product is supposed to mean once it reaches the customer. Your role is to shape the brand, the flavor, the size, the price, the packaging, the store strategy, the summer campaign, the premium line, the family tub, the novelty bar, and the promise that makes someone choose your ice cream over every other box in the freezer. Around you, people speak in clean business language, more indulgent, lower cost, better texture, new flavor launch, higher repeat purchase, stronger freezer visibility. But behind every phrase, you now see the ladder you climbed. You remember the dairy handler moving chilled ingredients before sunrise. You remember the mixing worker protecting the base before it looked like dessert. You remember the pasteurization operator watching heat and cold like a silent gatekeeper. You remember the freezing technician turning liquid into texture. You remember the flavor worker protecting swirls, cookie pieces, and surprise. You remember the filling technician catching tilted cups and faulty lids. You remember the quality inspector pausing over one imperfect sample. You remember the cold storage supervisor guarding pallets in blue-white air. You remember the distribution manager trying to keep the product frozen across distance. Now all of it reaches your desk. If you reduce expensive toppings, customers may feel cheated. If you raise the price, families may leave the tub behind. If you make the package look richer than the product inside, trust melts faster than ice cream in heat. If you chase a trend too quickly, the factory and cold chain may struggle to repeat the promise. The tub in front of you looks simple, colorful, and comforting. That is what makes it powerful. It hides dairy, sugar, temperature, machines, workers, cold rooms, trucks, and timing inside something a person eats when they want joy, relief, memory, or comfort. You began at the bottom where ice cream was only chilled ingredients and heavy pallets. You end at the top, where ice cream becomes emotion, strategy, and responsibility. The product is never just dessert, it is labor, cold discipline, risk, and feeling, compressed into a frozen scoop. So when the next meeting asks whether this ice cream should be cheaper, sweeter, more premium, or easier to sell, the real question is not only what makes people reach for the spoon. The real question is who carries the pressure that makes comfort feel effortless. If you want to see another hidden system from the bottom to the top, comment which factory or global brand we should enter next.